Fallout 5 is gonna be amazing. Imagine 16 times the detail, 100 times the insert random lie here. Fallout 5 single-handedly will redefine what it is to be slop.
Fallout. Yeah, we've talked about it a lot lately. The Fallout TV show is due out soon in just a few short weeks, so naturally,
And it's completely raw garbage. It's gonna be great.
Fallout conversation has been ramping up. We're also wondering where the Fallout 4 Next Gen update is, but if there was a Fallout video
It's coming with the paid mods, so I hope you're ready for that one.
I didn't expect to be making right now, it's one talking about Fallout 5. And Todd Howard's recent comments are actually more significant than you may have anticipated originally. We are going to go...
Todd Howard, Jesus himself, has spoken, which obviously means mountains will move and the heavens shall tremble. No, seriously, I don't understand what's the deal with some people and listening to Todd Howard. Have you heard the legend about Todd Howard? How much he lies? Legend has it that Todd Howard has not told a single truth in his life since the moment he was born. At this point, we don't even know if he's actually named Todd Howard even, or is just that another one of Todd Howard's lies. We just don't know. He lies about everything and anything. But some people take his word like gospel, pretty much.
Straight into Fallout 4 and connect the dots a little bit here on what Bethesda Game Studios may be setting up, even if it's, like 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 years down the line. Look, still, we have some information on Fallout 5. I'd like to talk about it here today. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. And before we begin, a quick word from today's sponsor. The following video is brought to you by Keen. Okay, so recently there was this press event for the Fallout TV show. I assume that they were seeing content ahead of the launch of the show. We'll see in a few short weeks if that's actually the case. But nonetheless,
I mean, it looks pretty interesting, but then again, it's a press event, so, it's gonna look better than everything else that they produce, so it is what it is.
But nonetheless, there were some interviews done. And we talked about prior interviews when it came to Fallout, one in particular suggesting that the Fallout TV show was Fallout 5, and we nervously laughed at that, going, okay, I'm excited it's a new original story, but Fallout 5, you are not, even if you are goated. So
I am not excited for it being a new original story. We already know plenty of details about the Fallout TV show, and the main one is, it's gonna ignore established lore, and it's gonna make up lore as it goes, because honestly, why not at this point? The Fallout universe is completely effed anyway. The Brotherhood of Steel is now the main poster children for, the Fallout franchise in general. They're the good guys. All the lore gets just randomly retconned. So, it is what it is.
So, we have this interview to get into that maybe quells some of those fears that Todd Howard and the team were recognizing, but also talks a bit on what Fallout 5 may actually be. So we're going over to Video Games Chronicle here, where they say, Todd Howard revealed Fallout 5 secrets to the Fallout TV show creators to avoid similarities. In an interview with Den of Geek, Howard, Jonathan Nolan, who's a writer, director, and executive producer on the show, and showrunner Graham Wagner, explained that the series is an...
Also, the showrunner of the Fallout TV series was previously working on some other completely garbage, by the way, if anyone's wondering. I don't remember which one, but it was impressive. It was She-Hulk levels of atrocity.
Entirely new story set in the Fallout universe. Nolan caused confusion among fans earlier this month when, while discussing the show with Total Film, he said, quote, "It's almost like we're Fallout 5. I don't want to sound presumptuous, but it's just a non-interactive version of it, right?" Turns out he was a bit presumptuous here if Todd Howard's comments were anything to go by. Like I said, we saw this and went, yeah, like, you're canon, great. You're a meaningful story, hopefully, but Fallout 5, let's...
None of that sounds great in my opinion at all, by the way, here. Just to point that out. All of this sounds really bad.
Chill on that. You gotta earn that title, sucker, alright? However, in this new interview, Nolan explains that while the show is set in the same universe and timeline of the Fallout games, it's neither designed to replace nor recount the events of the upcoming Fallout 5 game. Speaking of the benefits of making an original show in the Fallout universe, he explained, quote, "It means
I never really understood, honestly, this idea that this TV show should be Fallout 5 because it's recounting some kind of random magical lore that's happening. Because, well, the Fallout timeline that we get is not actually chronological. Things are out of place. The way the games portray things are not actually a smooth timeline. One thing happens here, the other one happens here, the third one happens here, and so on. It's different. It's different points of time.
means you have all the benefit of beautiful storytelling that Todd and Bethesda has contributed to. No mention of Obsidian, which is kind of crazy here. No mention of In Exile, kind of crazy here. But
Obsidian, not Bethesda, who made the best Fallout game, Fallout New Vegas. The irony that the best Fallout game is not made by, well, Bethesda is just beautiful in my opinion.
But we also get to tell an original story within that world as writers and filmmakers. It's just a dream come true, end quote. I think we made Fallout 6, Wagner then replied, to which Nolan jokes, we know all about Fallout 5. We're not telling anyone. I do just want to quickly pause for a moment here and highlight that they're talking about what Bethesda built and not Obsidian, not In Exile. And again, this is a touch concerning because when you do see the Fallout TV show and the focus on Brotherhood of Steel, that's very Bethesda Game Studios. Like, they love the Brotherhood. And you see the representation the NCR is currently getting. We'll see how it develops. I'm going to keep an open mind. But as I talked about in videos now and videos upcoming, the representation...
By the way, am I the only one who thinks that, just in general, the idea that the Brotherhood of Steel is going to be the good guys, quote unquote, is super cringe and lame? Because, let's be real, Bethesda is never going to make good story writing, and we're going to never have a situation where even if the Brotherhood of Steel becomes, like, super big, prominent in the region in the main plot, we're never going to have a Fallout experience where the Brotherhood gets crushed by some kind of other outside force, which would be amazing. But then again, I really doubt it.
The NCR is a little concerning when you look at where they're at in like Fallout 2, how Shady Sands has become this real capital of the NCR, and then you look at how they are in New Vegas, where they're almost like the law and order of the land if you choose that ending. And then you look at where they are now and you see Shady Sands is like destroyed. And so that's very compelling to a longtime Fallout fan, like what happened here. But when you see that reset effectively coming in, you wonder if Bethesda's kind of wiping the lore clean to set something up for when they do Fallout 5, which, yes, may take place on the West Coast. We'll talk about that in just a moment here. Let's continue on.
Hopefully
Howard
not.
then clarified these jokes by explaining that he did indeed share some details on Fallout 5 with the show creators, if not perhaps the full thing. Quote, well, there were some things where I said, don't do this because...
What do you mean? Shared some details, if not perhaps the whole thing? So did he share details or did he tell you the whole thing?
We are going to do that in Fallout 5, end quote, he explained. Howard also reiterated that the Fallout show will be a separate story from the game, saying it wasn't the translation of an existing story, it was, what would the next thing be? It just happens to be a TV show, end quote, which I do think is a healthy clarification to make, just because it's showing that Bethesda didn't have something drafted up and they said, hey, here's this story, go make a show out of this. And while I don't want to jump the gun too much, I do think this also potentially shuts down the notion of a connection between, say, the Fallout TV show and the next Fallout game. Maybe it's possible it still happens, but when you see that it's a very separate story existing in its own world and Todd's trying to make sure things aren't happening that are connected to the next Fallout game from them, then I do wonder if this means that this is just going to be its own independent story with a beginning, middle, and end, and that's really it. No ties or setups or leaning into what is to come next for the Fallout franchise. But more importantly are the comments on Fallout 5 here. So we got a lot of clarity on exactly what was happening with this show, the purpose of it, and some quelling of like, hey, this ain't Fallout 5. It's just a new thing in the Fallout timeline, which I think is important. But the most important thing we're going to talk about today is Fallout 5, right? So this is something Todd said he's shared some details on, right? For example, saying, don't do this because we're going to do that in Fallout 5. Why is this important? Maddie, you're playing this one up, aren't you? Well, no, actually, there is one particular...
What are the chances that anyone on the production of the Fallout TV show has even played the game? They probably have never heard of Fallout in general, right? and this is not a jab. I'm not making this up. You can just look it up. Hollywood does this constantly, and they have been doing this for a very, very, very long time. And this happens with all the TV adaptations of games, movies, books, and pretty much everything. Honestly, whenever an existing source exists and Hollywood decides, hey, we're gonna make it, they encourage the writers, the everyone, to not look at the existing source. They encourage them and almost pretty much prohibit them from actually looking at the source and understanding what's it about and why people like it. They want to create something completely new just using the name that exists. So I would not be surprised if the Fallout TV show creators had no idea what Fallout even is in general, because they have never heard of it, nor do they ever want to hear about it. They just want to make their own thing because they are these special people chosen by the universe to create these amazing works of art, and they obviously need to be unique and completely new and separate from everything, because these people are so much better than everyone else. And that's ironically how they look at things, pretty much everything. Oh, you have comics book adaptations of this thing? Oh, The Witcher? Fuck established source. It's stupid, it's lame. I'm not gonna read the book. I'm gonna make everything as I go. Here you go. Bam, it's better than the original. Of course, I am special. I am in Hollywood, baby. It's disgusting.
Your quest in Fallout 4 that really stuck with me all these years. It's one I actually made a dedicated video on because I thought it was so significant, suggesting that the next...
I wonder how also, the TV show and everything is going to handle the absolute zero IQ of the inhabitants of the Fallout TV universe. Not the TV universe, but the Fallout universe in general. Vaultec is probably mentally deficient, and every single person in this universe seems to be, at a lukewarm room IQ temperature. Like, for example, this guy. What can we already tell about this low IQ individual? Well, first of all, it's the fact that he probably doesn't have an eye, and yet his solution to not having an eye is to put a piece of metal in front of the eye, which is rusted, because cloth is too mainstream, I guess. So this is better to get an infection and, stuff. So, everyone in the Fallout universe is pretty fucking big-brained. Even before the apocalypse, the guns didn't make a single shred of sense. It was just giant-looking battles that no one knew what they do. So I wondered how the show and everything else is going to tackle the fact that the Fallout universe is inhabited with people who are so stupid they should be considered cattle.
Thought it was so significant, suggesting that the next Bethesda game, or at least the next Fallout game, should take place in the Mojave. At least if we're to go off what happened in Fallout 3, so we'll get into the weeds of that now. What I'm talking about is the Cabot House quest. This is one of my favorite quests in Fallout 4, where you track down this mysterious artifact that's allowed Lorenzo Cabot to live for like 400 years. It's really interesting, crazy stuff, and there are multiple endings to that quest line. However, in the epilogue of that quest line...
Aren't there 2 endings to the quest line?
There is one interesting closing line that is said before the conversation ends and the quest closes off for good. Take a listen and I'll explain my thoughts.
Maybe I'll finally travel to the southwest. My father was always convinced that there was another alien city buried somewhere in the Mojave Desert.
Now, a lot of people, when I talked about this initially, hand-waved it away. Like, oh, it's a cheeky nod, Mojave, whatever. I am of the belief, no matter what people...
Yeah, that's probably not a cheeky nod. Considering how much everyone loved... What's the creepy building called in Fallout 3? I forgot. Dunwich Burrows. All the Dunwich stuff. Considering how much people liked the Fallout 3 Dunwich stuff and, the obelisk and whatnot, and the creepy Eldritch Cthulhu stuff, No, this is now a very much established part of the lore. I haven't played 76 in now half a year. The last time I played was still shit, by the way. Do not buy that game. It's a dumpster fire. Only play it time to time if you're super bored and your alternative is becoming a hard drug addict. Okay? Only then consider playing 76. And, well, in 76, as much as I know now from checking a lot of things out, it looks like, yeah, all the Eldritch stuff is 100% now integrated into the lore. There is a lot of Eldritch stuff, human transmutations and things like that going on behind the scenes. There's cults about it, there's multiple locations. Mothman, like, Fallout is in general becoming way more eldritch and mystical than what it was, for example, in 3. In 3, it was just, 1, 2, and 3. Well, there were some mystical things in those games also, but, they were like small Easter eggs almost. It was just like, oh, wow, this world is a little bit more than Apocalypse. It actually has some kind of eldritch magics and whatnots in it. And that was how it goes. But now Fallout has completely switched to embrace, it's not just a nuclear wasteland, but it is this eldritch horror abomination thing. So Fallout 5, in my opinion, is going to be a lot more integrated with that. Because, again, everything that's happening in 76, there's so many eldritch abomination things going on there and whatnot. 4 has a lot of them. Yeah, so 5 is going to be, it's the apocalypse, but there's probably going to be a pretty big tinge of, there's mystical shit also happening.
People say about Bethesda and their writing talent, I am of the belief they are very deliberate in their side content and setting things up for
I believe they're very bad at everything they do.
the future. Because they've been doing that since Fallout 3. In Fallout 3, we got a really cool side quest called The Replicated Man, talking about the synths, talking about the Commonwealth, talking about the literal core, root, and themes of Fallout 4. And guess what that entire game was about? Everything in that side quest for Fallout 3. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and pull the wool over my eyes here and act like when Todd Howard is saying, hey, don't do that, in this story set on the West Coast, we're going to do that in Fallout 5. That suggests to me that they are at least looking west for the next Fallout game, which would be a significant shakeup for Bethesda Game Studios, right? Because they've only done East Coast Fallout games. They only did the Capital Wasteland. They only did the Commonwealth. And if you really want to get into the weeds of this theory and how it has legs beyond just this single strand from a Todd Howard interview, you just have to look at the games themselves. Epic Nate actually has a 40-plus minute video dissecting all this if you're interested in checking.
Oh, there's so many videos, by the way, just dissecting this stuff. It's crazy.
Checking that out. But it's there he talks about the Dunwich monster, in particular focusing on Lorenzo from the Cabot House questline and how this can connect to some of the Dunwich elements that you see in.
You know what freaks me out? I cannot stand flashback sequences when you're moving through a place and it flashes back and so. I don't know what's about it, but it kind of freaks me out always, even if it's not supposed to be combat games. It just freaks me out, dude.
Both Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. Perhaps this mysterious alien city is something coming to a head that's been set up since Fallout 3, which I think is mighty tantalizing. But again, that is very in the thick of it, but also showing that this theory has more legs than just what Todd Howard is saying. So this would be a big deal for them to go out west, especially when a lot of the speculation was like, hey, Obsidian should be the one who handles the west and Bethesda's handling the east. For Bethesda,
honestly, as long as it's someone handling Fallout except Bethesda, I'm fine. Because at this point, let's be completely honest, Obsidian is not the best choice, obviously, to handle this stuff. Larion would probably make a way better Fallout roleplay game than anyone else. Let's be completely real here, okay? But there's no chance that Larion is ever getting their hands on the Fallout franchise. So, our best option is Obsidian. And our worst option is Bethesda handling Bethesda games, because everything Bethesda has touched for the past 10 years has turned into quite literal fucking shit. So, as long as anyone else, even the drug-addicted hobo across the street, does Fallout instead of Bethesda, I'm kind of okay with that. I'm kind of chill. I'm kind of hopeful. I mean, as long as Todd Howard has no involvement in the game, I think we have a good shot at least having something playable, you know? Look at Starfield. I pushed myself to play 4 hours of that game. It's atrocious. 76? Oh, there I have like 50 plus hours. But you know, still atrocious. Still pretty bad. I just didn't have anything else to play at that moment.
As the Attack of the West would be massive and admittedly a little scary because those are all factions that they have never interfaced with before. But again, I can't help but think to myself, if you're doing a West Coast themed Fallout story in a TV show and you...
But yeah, Fallout is gonna change very soon forever. Because again, all of this pushing the Brotherhood of Steel at the forefront, Eldritch lore becoming a main thing in the universe that, well, everyone interacts with, and it's no longer just like a spooky Easter egg. Yeah, Fallout is going to change forever. Fallout 4 most likely will be considered the last Fallout of the old generation.
Stop.
And I would not be surprised if the TV show also entered Eldritch horror themes, even.
The creators from doing certain things inside that TV show, because you are going to do that in Fallout 5. That just tells me that Fallout 5 is probably set on the West Coast when Bethesda Game Studios gets around to it. And if we're to take anything from it plot-wise, potentially it's been suggested in Fallout 4, just like Fallout 3 suggested what was going to happen in Fallout 4. And if you look at that, this mysterious alien city in the Mojave, there's a lot of ways you can pull at that. Fallout 5 could be one of those. The rumored New Vegas 2 could be another one of those. Why do I say that? Because it's been rumored many times in the past that, hey, Obsidian...
Yeah, New Vegas 2 would be awesome.
Entertainment is going to be working on a Fallout New Vegas 2 Xbox.
Dude, you know what's interesting? New Vegas 2? That would mean that they give us an official ending to the first series. Who won? Mr. House, Yes Man, NCR, Caesar's Legion. What happened? What happened? And did we nuke it after on Lonesome Road? What happened? That would be very interesting.
Is kicking it around, the term's getting kicked around, maybe that's not the final name, but it looks like a Fallout Obsidian game is something that Obsidian wants to do, as Fergus Urquhart, the CEO of Obsidian Entertainment.
Yeah, they said this many times. Obsidian is interested in doing this, but so the thing about this, the part that's really cool is the fact that there is a chance that this may happen. And why, you ask? Well, now, that's actually pretty simple. Because after Obsidian made the best Fallout game where Todd Howard wasn't involved, Todd Howard got obviously pretty butthurt about him being a complete loser. And so, now everything that the Bethesda does is Todd Howard's work and whatnot. But, as we all know, now Microsoft owns, everything Bethesda owns. Which means, If Microsoft wants, Todd Howard can literally do nothing about the idea that Obsidian does Fallout. He can't do anything about it now. He is powerless to make choices here. If Microsoft says, hey, Todd Howard, you're no longer ever even looking in the direction of Fallout, it's good. So my hopes is that Microsoft fires Todd Howard and hopefully kills his bloodline, because they're a risk to the quality of these games just by existence. They are the Eldritch monsters.
Has expressed interest in doing, but also I think Xbox wants to do it, and I feel like it's really up to Bethesda to just give the nod, and that's as good as a done deal. Either way, I think we're going to get a West Coast Fallout game sooner rather than later. It kind of makes sense if you're going to make a Fallout TV show, focusing on that, exposing the masses to it, and then you build your next core product around that. This isn't the first time we got confirmation of a Fallout 5. In fact, it's actually this...
What the hell is Oh Baby? I don't remember that gun. Is it a gun? Is it... No, Benny's gun is called different. It's not even called any... No, wait, it is called something, but... What is Oh Baby? I don't even know. I have played this game so many times and I don't even know. Huh. Leave down in the comments what Oh Baby is.
Second, because we learned just around the second time we saw Starfield that Fallout 5's coming after Elder Scrolls 6. And also, we now know Elder Scrolls 6 won't be due out, thanks to the FTC court case documents, until at least 2026. And given Starfield and its current states, and Starfield and its current support structure, and what Bethesda is aiming to do there, and then...
What is Bethesda aiming with Starfield? I don't know. It looks like they're doing nothing.
Elder Scrolls 6, I would wager that all got pushed back past 2026, as much as I would love to see Elder Scrolls 6 and we don't have to wait super long, which puts Fallout into quite literally potentially the mid 2030s, unless
I think it's gonna come out sooner. Again, Microsoft is pulling the strings here, but Bethesda's not gonna do that shit. Microsoft is already very much regretting buying Blizzard with what's happening with the Diablo 4, and buying Bethesda, considering what a absolute ginormous fail Starfield is, and how people are no longer excited for Elder Scrolls 6, considering it's going to be done by the same people that Starfield. So yeah, I think Microsoft is going to do some serious changes. Bethesda is not going to be allowed to just stew in irrelevance for, 10 years in a row and then release some half-baked piece of shit. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Microsoft is going to step in and, clean house essentially here. Well, anyway, that's pretty much it. That was Mr. Matty Plays. There you go. Good stuff. Fallout. Very interesting. Can't wait for the TV show. Shattered Space for Starfield. Mwah. Let's hope for the best, boys. That it sucks because it's Bethesda and everything they touch turns to shit. Anyway, this was Quizzer Sensei, and thanks for watching. Subscribe and already, and have a nice day. Bye bye.